Hello and welcome to the Hounding Harmony Dog Training Podcast, the show that helps you go from chaos to calm with your dog, one episode at a time. I'm Emily, a dog trainer and licensed veterinary technician, here to give you practical tips, real-life strategies, and the confidence to raise a well-behaved, obedient dog without the overwhelm. Let's jump in and create a calm and connected life with your dog. Hello and welcome back to the Hounding Harmony Dog Training Podcast. This is going to be the last episode of Season 1. As some of you may know, I'm pretty heavily pregnant right now. So we're going to wrap up Season 1 today and we'll get back to it with Season 2 sometime after I have birthed this human. So I wanted to leave you with an episode that was very high value, and as a vet tech, this is a question that I get all the time, which is, hey, do you think I need to go to the vet? So I'm going to talk you through some ways to help you make this decision and feel confident about this decision so that anxiety just isn't on your plate. I think most of us humans are really cognizant of how expensive a vet visit is and how silly we would feel if we went to the vet and there was nothing wrong. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources, all of these things. So we're going to figure out how we can triage at home and just feel a little bit more peace about this. Now, if you listen to this episode and you still feel like you have no peace in making that decision of whether to take them in or not, the best thing that you can do is to simply take them in, because your intuition is worth something. I don't know how much, but it's worth something. And your peace is worth paying a little bit more money. And whether it was necessary for you to go into the vet or not, you will definitely have learned something to help you make the decision better in the future. I'm not 100% if this disclaimer is completely necessary. However, I'm going to tell you, this is not medical advice. This is my personal opinion based off of my experiences and my knowledge, and I'm sharing it to help you better make a decision in your own life, not in your specific situation. So, if you don't know what the word triage means, it is an assessment to decide what's urgent and what is not. That word is used a lot in ER medicine and in clinic settings because you have to look at your patients, and if something comes in with a broken leg versus a vaccine exam, obviously if you have to choose, you're going to see the broken leg first. So we're going to carry that idea into today's episode and decide which scenarios are requiring of an ER visit, of an appointment in a few days, or of just watching to see if further symptoms develop. This is not going to be a fully comprehensive guide simply because it would just take a really long time for me to list every symptom ever. So it's important to take this and put it into your mind for information and to be able to apply it practically to your decision, to your scenario. I think that us talking through the ones that I do have is going to help you make a decision, as well as give you a feel, because a lot of this is going to be very intuitive based, because bodies aren't always mathematical. There's a lot of leeway in between symptoms and how the systems work. So we have to make a lot of intuitive responses to things. So I'm trying to build your vibe sensor around this. This is making it sound like it's very ambiguous, but it's not that ambiguous. We're just going to jump into it before I confuse you. One last caveat as we are going through these things is that a single solitary symptom is often not serious unless it is paired with other symptoms. So, for example, if they have redness on their eye, if that's their only symptom, I'm going to tell you just to watch. Look for other symptoms. However, if it's paired with other symptoms like swelling, vision loss, itching, things like that, then we'll be like, oh, okay, now we have a bit of a base to go off of. So if you're seeing one singular symptom most times, unless it's a pretty severe symptom, I'm going to tell you look for other symptoms. Watch them, see if it improves, see what happens. We're going to start on the lower, non-urgent side of things, of symptoms. And these are going to be like itching, scratching, chronic weight loss, which, by the way, chronic means it's happening over a long period of time. Acute means it's happening immediately. So, like, chronic would be my dog has been losing weight for a really long time. Acute, my dog has dropped 5 pounds this week. Chronic illnesses and diseases with no recent change in condition, hair loss, red eyes, skin, and ears, or a single seizure with full recovery. So these are all going to be things that are pretty non-urgent that we're going to take note of and look for other symptoms. Now, if they were having like all of these things, then I would be like, oh, maybe we should go to the vet, because that's like a accumulation of these symptoms, which makes it more urgent. But still, all of these things, I would schedule a vet visit within the next week. A ton of vet med is really observation and advocation. So the ability that you have to observe your pet and their health and to record that is going to help your vet staff so much. And it's really valuable, because if you came in, you said, my dog has a cough, and you can't get the dog to cough in the appointment. That's what happens every time, by the way. It's so helpful to get that on film, get a video of it, get a picture of whatever you're seeing, and just continue to compile this evidence that something could be wrong, so that your vet has as many tools as possible to help you resolve this, which is going to also mean maybe less appointments, less dead ends of trying treatments, stuff like that. Quicker diagnosis. So overall, you're just going to help yourself by noticing these things and cataloging them. Okay, now we're going to move into semi-urgent. I would consider semi-urgent to be within the week appointment, whereas non-urgent, we were just watching for new symptoms. So semi-urgent, we're looking at vomiting, 2 or fewer episodes. Now, if the vomiting had blood in it or a sign of a foreign body, that maybe more is in there. Foreign body being something that they ate. So maybe they vomited half a sock or a fishing line, something like that. That's something that would increase the urgency. Acute diarrhea without vomiting. So all of a sudden they have diarrhea. Chances are they probably just got into the trash and they're needing to clear their symptoms or their system. Straining to defecate could be they just ate a lot of grass, so we're waiting for other symptoms. If you saw your dog eat a foreign body but has no signs of illness, now that's semi-urgent only if the thing that they ate is not potentially hazardous. So if you saw them eat a fishing hook, a battery, a poison, toxin, something like that could cause a magnet. Magnets aren't good either. Something that could cause tearing within their organs or poisoning, toxicity, that's when it's going to become urgent. However, if you saw them eat a pine cone or a rubber ball, if it's like a big dog, in comparison to size, that's going to be less urgent, and you're going to watch for that in their stool. If they have blood in their urine or they're straining to urinate, specifically in dogs or female cats. If you have a male cat that is straining to urinate or has blood in his urine, that could be urgent and life-threatening, so you're going to want to get those ones in sooner. However, with dogs and female cats, that's usually a sign of a UTI, and you can get them in that week, not necessarily that day. Small wounds or lacerations, it's important to note that you're not going to get stitches or staples in a wound that isn't through the skin or muscle. So just keep that in mind. If it's a puncture wound, they're also probably not going to stitch it up, like a tooth puncture, because it needs to drain. All of that bacteria has to come out. So I know wounds can be scary, but having that knowledge in your brain will help you triage this properly in your mind. If they have a non-productive cough, but they're breathing totally fine, so non-productive means it's kind of dry, there's nothing coming up with it, so it's non-productive, but they can still breathe, we're not really that worried about it. Something that can be kind of scary is dogs do a thing called reverse sneezing. If you have never heard a reverse sneeze, it can be quite scary. Our bulldog does it quite a bit. And you can go on YouTube and look up like what it sounds like because it sounds really scary, but it's just dramatic and they're really okay. And there's nothing that we do to treat it. We just let them. It's like getting the hiccups as a dog. Broken toenails, those are semi-urgent because sometimes they bleed a lot, sometimes they don't, sometimes they'll stop bleeding on their own, sometimes you can treat it at home. I had a broken toenail on my Aussie recently, I believe it was a month ago, and I treated it by trimming and covering it up with flour. However, if you have a dog that is psycho about their nails, I could see why you wouldn't get that in sooner. If it's a broken toenail with no bleeding, I wouldn't worry about it. Squinting, eye discharge, or significantly swollen eyes. Those, you're going to want to like have them seen, but you don't need an emergency visit. Of course, you're going to look for any other symptoms with this one. This one is something that could be really non-emergent or it could be very emergent. So just look for other allergic reactions, pain, bleeding, because really squinting, eye discharge, and a swollen eye could just mean that they got something in their eye or that they just hit it on something. But if it's getting worse, that's when it's going to become more emergent. Allergic reactions, they're going to look like hives, which is just little bumps in their fur. Their skin bumps up and they kind of just look like they have like texture, especially if you have a short-haired dog. On the longer-haired dogs, I see it mostly on their tummies. When they roll over, you're going to be able to see those hives. If they're having swelling on their face, don't freak out yet. But if they start to have a hard time breathing, that's an emergency, always. Another semi-urgent symptom would be limping. Again, you're going to look for other symptoms with this one because sometimes dogs limp because their foot got too cold, they got a sliver or thorn, or they tweaked their knee or their hip or their muscle, whatever, and their body is indicating pain so that they stop putting pressure on that. Pain is actually an indicator from our bodies to our brains to be careful with that part of our body. So we're okay with them feeling that pain because it's telling them to chill out. Now, if it was paired with another symptom or it continued for a long period of time, that's when we're going to be worried. I would still take your limping dog in if the limping lasted more than, I would say, 12, 24 hours. But again, semi-urgent, so seen sometime in the next week. All right, we're moving into urgent, which I'm going to classify as see within the next 24 hours or 12 hours since that's more of what a day length is. So if you're seeing persistent and severe vomiting, like they just keep going at it and they're even dry heaving because they've gotten everything out of their system, you're gonna want to get them in because that could mean there's something stuck in their throat that they're trying to get out. It could mean dehydration, which actually it probably will mean that's a side effect, or it could mean a disease like parvo or any GI problem, pancreatitis, all kinds of fun stuff. So you're going to want to get them in because they probably need fluids and they probably need that issue resolved. Appetite loss for more than 24 hours. If you have a very active working dog or a long-haired dog in the summer, there's going to be times where they don't want to eat, and it's okay. They know their body, and they'll eat in a little bit, but they might skip a meal here and there. I'm not worried about the dog that skips a meal. I'm worried about the dog that has not eaten consistently for 3 meals in a row. That's when I would worry. The dogs with the long hair in the summer, I mean, if you've ever gotten too hot, you don't want to eat. And that is a consistent thing that happens with my Aussie in the summer times. Let's see, we're about to go into his 9th summer with me. And he has, I think, every year, if not pretty close to every year, not eaten on the first couple really high temp days. Not in a row, but he'll just like skip a meal and he'll come back and eat it when he's feeling better. Coming back to the foreign body cases, if you saw them eat a foreign body or you know that they did and now they are ill, that's going to be something you want seen within that day. If they have multiple seizures within a 24-hour period, but they are not currently seizing, that's something you want to get seen in the next 24 hours. If they've had a ton of seizures and they're still seizing and they've been seizing for multiple minutes, that's when we're going to say it's an emergency. Make sure that you get a video of as many seizures as you can and understand that not all seizures are created equally. And I'm going to be honest with you, I am really bad at recalling all of the different versions. So I'm going to send you to a higher level of authority and knowledge on this topic and tell you to Google videos of dog seizures, because I think there's 3 or 4 different kinds. I could just be making myself look very dumb, but clearly I didn't have to deal with very many seizure dogs not actively seizing in my time in vet med. Anyway, not all seizures are created equally. However, if they are having a seizure that lasts longer than 5 minutes, we're getting worried about their brain health. So if you know that they've had multiple seizures, I would say under the 5-minute mark that day, you should get them seen that day. If they're having diarrhea and they're also vomiting or they're also not eating, we're going to get worried about them getting dehydrated and their body's just not being able to function. When you have that little trifecta or pairing, that can be really hard on them, and they need to get in for some fluids. They need some doggy Pepto. They need to get that stomach sorted out and figured out what is going on so that it doesn't get worse, because that's the kind of thing that it starts and then it goes downhill pretty quick. So if you're having both of those, that's when I would say you need to get them seen today and within the next 24 hours. All right, we're moving into, this is an emergency, call the vet right now, get in the car. So if you know that they have ingested a toxin like some rodent killer, there's a specific type of rodent killer that is a blood thinning. That's the one that we get really worried about. That is going to take them out. If it's the neurotoxin one, we're going to try to get all of that poison out. However, there's not a ton we can do to treat the effects of it. So make sure, just please keep your rat poison away from your dog. That's stressful for everyone involved. Another true emergency is going to be respiratory distress. If they cannot breathe, they cannot live. So if our dog is having a hard time breathing, like truly, they've got their stomach moving, they've got their chest, it's labored breathing. They're working really hard to move air in and out, and you can tell that they're just not getting enough. They're hyperventilating. You're going to want to get them in. If they're just panting hard from running around like crazy and it gets better within like 5 minutes, we're not talking about you. If your dog collapses, absolutely take them to the ER vet. If they're unable to walk, if they're unable to get up, and this is a new development, we're looking at some nerve damage, we're looking at something serious. Coming back to the male cat with blood in the urine. If you have a male cat that is trained to urinate or has blood in their urine, they are probably blocked. They get urinary crystals. Their urethra becomes blocked with these crystals. They cannot get urine out, and they get toxic. So they need to immediately be taken into the vet so that we can get that block moved, so we can get the urine out of their system, so that their bladder doesn't rupture and that their kidneys don't die. Because cats, they just struggle to keep their kidneys healthy. It's like a feline thing. So a lot of people don't know that. A lot of cat owners don't know that, but that is a serious condition. If they are actively seizing or they are having cluster seizures, that's going to be like seizure one after another. Or if they are currently or if they are status epilepticus, which is the scientific word for what I said about seizing for 5 minutes and currently seizing. Another emergency that's actually going to be really easy for you to decide is if they have severe trauma. So these are going to be our hit by car dogs, dog fight dogs, severe or multiple injuries. Now, not every dog fight is going to be an emergency. However, if they have multiple puncture wounds, if they're bleeding, if they have, I'm not going to get graphic, but if you've noticed multiple wounds and blood, most likely it is an emergency. However, remember what I said about punctures not getting stitches. Punctures do need antibiotics though, so you need to get them in. If there is profuse bleeding from any wound, they need to go in because they're going to have a hard time clotting. We don't want them to run out of blood. We want to fix this issue quickly. If they are having persistent, non-productive retching, we talked about this. That means something is probably stuck in their throat and they're trying to get it out. So we need to take them in. And finally, this is not going to apply to most of you, but if they are having distress during active labor while they're delivering puppies, that's going to be an emergency as well. Especially if you are not experienced in whelping, it's just better to get them in. However, most dogs, they're going to do great. But if they're showing signs of distress, definitely you're going to want to call your vet and get their opinion on it. So, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope that you have learned something. If I have opened more questions than I have answered, I'm so sorry. Please use the contact me form in the description of the episode. I truly do worry about me recording episodes while being pregnant because pregnancy brain is so real. So I'm doing my best for you guys, but if you have more questions, don't be afraid to ask. And also, your vet staff wants to help you. This is why I preach having a good relationship with your vet staff, because the more that they know about your dog and you and your scenario, the better they are able to help you. And even if you don't have that relationship, start it by asking the questions, because they don't want to see you unless they have to. They don't want it to be a problem unless it is a problem, and they want to fix it. So they're not trying to steal your money. I know that is such a narrative. It's just simply not true. We are so overworked and overbooked, and there's so many other problems in the world. We are not making you come in just to get an extra buck on you. So please feel free to call a vet, to call your vet, to call a vet tech. Most times, we love to educate. Like, this episode has been so fun for me because I'm sharing the knowledge I spent years and years learning to better help you take care of your pet. Because at the end of the day, every single one of us in the vet med industry, we came into this industry because we care about animals and we want to take care of them. We want to be with them. We want them to live better lives. So one of the ways we can do that is by helping the owners better take care of their pets. So that's my soapbox. I'm going to get off of it right now and tell you that while you are patiently waiting for season 2 to come back, please, please, please use the contact me form in the description. If you have any topics that you want me to cover, any questions, any feedback, any breeds that you would like a breed research episode on, all those things, honestly, it would save me so much brain power to have some of those things to think about and to write and to prepare while I'm on maternity leave. As well as, the most important thing is to make sure that you're following this podcast or you're subscribed so that when season 2 does come back, it pops up on your new episodes. And the very last thing that I suggest that you do while we're on this break is to go back through the episodes. There's like 30. We did this season 1 for 8-9 months. I don't know for sure. I should have done that math before I came on. But go back through. There's a lot of episodes and you probably missed one. So check it out. And thank you so much for joining me on season 1, the feedback that I got, the ratings that I got, and I'll be back soon before you know it. Thank you so much for tuning into Hounding Harmony Dog Training. If you found this episode helpful, it would mean the world to me if you'd follow the show and leave a quick review. This helps other dog owners find the support that they need too. For more tips, training help, and encouragement, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at HH_dog training, or you can check out the resources in the show notes. Until next time, keep hounding that harmony.